What's up, y'all? It's your boy Charles. That was too loud. Listen, I want to talk about brothers or brothers and sisters that look down on other brothers and sisters and say, like a Candace Owens or like even like an Anton Daniels. Now I watch Anton Daniels. He's a famous YouTuber, and I watch his channel. Some of the stuff I agree with, but some of the stuff I don't agree with him. You know, and I have my opinions. I have my right to have my opinions on certain things that he puts out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to denigrate the brother, but I watched some of his videos recently where he talks about how black people, black men, I guess, on one of his videos of how there's no excuse why you shouldn't be rich. You know, I'm a success story. All this. You can't find a job that pays good money. You know, he talks about certain things why there's no excuses, which I do agree with him. There's no excuses to, why you shouldn't be in certain level. But I think with a black male, an American black man, there is an excuse. There is an excuse. This country is made up of a black male who is successful at a certain level is a threat to America. I still believe that. That's a threat to, a black male who makes the kind of money that a white male makes, like big money, that's a threat. And he does it legit, that's a threat. You know, I still think that had a lot to do with Diddy. I still think they had a lot to do with Bill Cosby, because they were very powerful men. You know what I mean? Michael Jackson, you know what I'm saying? They reached levels of success in this country that most black people don't experience. And that's by design. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. That's by design, you know. So when people like Anton Daniels and people like Candace Owens say, oh, you guys are just lazy, you guys can't sit here and act like you guys can't make it happen for yourselves, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and all that shit. I think that, like for instance, like Anton Daniels, right? Because I know, and I'm not just trying to target him. Like I say, I like Anton Daniels. I'm a big fan of his videos. But I've come across black people just like that. That black men, especially, black men are you have to be a certain type of brother. Paul Mooney even talked about this when it was regards to Hollywood. And Hollywood is just another corporate white-owned infrastructure in America. Because I'm out here in LA, and if you're not a certain type of brother, and when I say a certain type, I mean somewhat non-threatening, speak a certain way, move a certain way, their women at their organizations, at their corporations aren't sexually turned on by you, threatened by you. I remember I worked at Hallmark. When I first came to LA, and I was working as a production assistant at the Hallmark channel. I don't even know if the Hallmark channel is even around anymore. I don't know. I haven't watched cable in years. But this is like 15, 16 years ago, before apps. I would say maybe 20 years ago, before apps and all that stuff. And it was through a temporary agency. So the people that they just want somebody to fill the position, while the person that has that position is maybe sick or a leave of absence, then you come in through a temp agency to fill that position. So they don't know how I look. It's through a temp agency. I get there and it was like, oh, I'm 6 foot tall. This big black guy. Hey man, they were cool, but it was like, oh, we didn't know you go. So I was there, and here's the thing: there was a lot of white women that worked there, and they were walking around like. I remember I walked into the break room. This existence. I walked into the break room one time, and I was just getting my lunch out of the refrigerator, and the white women were in there talking, and when I walked in, there was just this energy like, oh, this black guy's in here with us, like, what he's gonna do to us? Like, they really had this like walking on eggshells type of energy. Before I walked in there, I heard them laughing and giggling and just, but when I walked in, they were like, oh shit, like what's I thought all the black people in this company were accounted for. Who's this doing? It was like that energy, you know what I'm saying? So I was supposed to be there a week. I did my job perfectly, on time. They said in 2 or 3 days they didn't want me back. And the agency didn't give me an excuse, and they was like, we're gonna find you something different. They just didn't, nothing you did. They even said it like that. I didn't stay the whole week. And I'm thinking it's because and that's what it is amongst all you. And so people like Anton Daniels and other brothers that can get into those corporate jobs and make that big money. Bravo to y'all. Y'all lucky. Y'all can get into the circles that most brothers can't, because we don't. They looked at us as threatening, and you know what I'm saying? We don't move a certain way. We don't talk with our proper tone like this. A lot of times that's what it is. And just a lot of times they just don't feel comfortable. A lot of times these white folks at these jobs want to talk to their employees crazy because they're the executive of this, that, and the CEO of this, that. So I feel like I can say I can talk crazy to you. They have that shit with them. And most brothers in America, you ain't finna talk crazy to them. A lot of times these white men at these corporations know who they can talk crazy to. A lot of times maybe we'll let the shit slide for a little bit, then we'll eventually check your ass. That's why reason why I think a lot of times that it shows in Hollywood too. It goes back to Hollywood again, where brothers out here in LA be like, hi, damn, I'm an actor. I've been an actor all these years, and I can't seem to get a role on my favorite sitcom or my favorite blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. And it's because, like, for instance, Denzel talked about how, I guess it was a story about how Denzel was supposed to work with some director, some white director on some movie, and Denzel read the script, and he was like, I'm not doing that. Y'all y'all finna be calling me an N-word and this, that, and it was some racial shit. And Denzel was like, I ain't finna do that, man. I'm not doing that. And I think it was with Quentin Tarantino. It was some director he got into it with, white director. And he ended up not doing the film, Denzel. So I say this to say that they sometimes choose black actors and actresses from Britain because they're a little bit, and I'm not trying to insult them by saying it, they're a little bit more docile, a little bit more, white people can kind of bend them a little bit more to have them do certain things that we ain't finna fucking do on camera. That's why Denzel's like, kiss my ass. You know what I'm saying? And I think that goes, and then plus the British accent. A lot of these white folks like that. It's not, sometimes our dialect and our voices and everything and the way we talk kind of threatens them. You know what I'm saying? Like our deep voices, our beards. A lot of times most Brit actors are clean shaved. You know what I'm saying? You look less threatening. Non-American black people, black men, So it's a lot of factors that go into that, because a lot of times we can't get loans because, it's this thread about us starting. So when people like Anton Daniels, and I even went to school with a brother, and he was very bougie, but he was he was like, man, he was a cool brother though. His name was Gary, and he was like, man, that's some bullshit, man. All that, y'all brothers just lazy. Y'all lazy, man. Y'all just act like, y'all had all these excuses about the white man holding you back and all that. That's what's holding y'all back. Y'all making excuses about the white man, which I have to agree with to a certain degree, but we have to analyze that is that, yeah, that is to a degree why brothers can't advance. We can't get along, even though we have credit. Our credit be perfect. Brothers, you hear stories about brothers going in trying to get loans at banks to start their own business. Like, hey, I can't work with white folks at their corporations. They won't hire me because I'm too big. I wear my goatee. My voice is too deep. So let me try to go get me some money from the bank. My credit is good, and start my own business. A lot of brothers face, it's the threat of, and that I believe is the reason why a lot of brothers can't make it in America, because we have to kind of give up a little bit of our manlyhood. We have, not as far as manlyhood, as far as like bending over like that, literally, but we have to tone ourselves down. We can't walk into these white-owned corporations with our chest out too much. That's why a lot of times, I remember one time I went to Paramount and I was trying to get a job I wanted to get into development of film. That means coming up with the creative ideas to put a film together in the writer's room. That's what I wanted to do when I came out here. And I had a job interview at Paramount just some years back when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And so I go into this interview and I walk into Paramount Pictures, and the lady I go to the secretary, the receptionist at the desk in the offices, and I said, yeah, I'm here to see such and such. It was a female I was going to have an interview with. She was like, okay. So I go and sit down with the other white guys that were there interviewing. It was a big, I remember it was a big lounge couch area, blue couch they had, Paramount, the blue and white color. And so I go and I sit down, and the lady receptionist, she tells us, okay, yeah, have a seat. I'm gonna let such and such know you're here. So I go and sit down, and there's maybe 3 or 4 other white guys that were there. And I'm on the way on the other side, I'm sitting on the couch. And so the lady walks out, and I didn't hear her at first. And she says, and she walks over to the white guys. Hey, Charles. She didn't even, I'm over here. She's like, where's Charles? And she didn't even think to come. She just looked at me, glanced and then walked and just kind of like, where's Charles? I'm like, I'm over here. I just looked at her. I'm like, because she went over to the white, and the white guys were there for an interview too. They were dressed in their suits. She's like, Charles? Hey, Charles, how you doing? And they were like, no, we're not. She's like, where's Charles? Glanced at me, like, where's, like, I know that can't be Charles or whatever. So I said, hey, I'm Charles. She's like, oh. It was like, oh, like, she's like, oh, okay, how you doing? And I remember I went in there in that interview, man. That interview probably lasted about maybe 5 minutes. Like, she didn't even, And I was like, dang, she ain't finna call me back, And I believe, but I think, and it's funny though, because I first went in there, the receptionist like, yeah, I'm here for the interview. She's like, for the security job? Y'all make you think, big black man, oh, you want to watch our Ferraris in the garage. You want to watch our Porsches in the Paramount lot. That's what you want to do for $14 an hour. No, I went to school. I'm here for I'm qualified for the assistant position, the entry level position. Oh, you here for that? Yeah, I know I want to be in the garage as y'all human guard dog and watch our Porsches in the studio lot. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they think. Oh, big black man, he must be wanting to do security, and he want to watch our condominiums or our home. They be thinking, you know what I'm saying? So when people like, you probably was able to get in because they didn't feel threatened by you. I mean, I've never seen Anton Daniel. I think he's out of Detroit, but he looks like he's a small guy. Usually small men get those big executive jobs because their women don't feel threatened by you. You know what I'm saying? You know how to speak the white man's English, when you get into those roles. I can speak it for a little bit, but then eventually the country and my black tone, my black cadence, my black southern cadence is going to come out. It probably came out in this video. I was trying to suppress it, but it's just in me, And I feel like I shouldn't have to go, hi there, yeah, I'm Charles, and walk with my ass all stiff. Don't lose all my swag, my rhythm that I have when I walk. I need to just talk like this, and I think a lot of brothers ain't willing to do that. And I think when you're not willing to do that, you can't get those big positions. You can't get those executive suites and hobnob with other white. It's certain, and it's crazy. I would go to some of these interviews with these big jobs. I've had so many of them out here. And I would go in, I said, man, I want this job at this studio, working in development and stuff like that. And I would go in and I would see when I would be waiting for my interview, I would see, well, who the black people, how they move. And I would just observe the few black people that were there. I would see how they move, how they tone, how they talk. Tracy, how are you? I heard your sister had her new baby. Oh my God, it'd be so adorable. I can't talk like that all day. I'm gonna be, because eventually it's gonna, or you would see this. Hey girl, it's the brother. Hey, the only brothers that be there be kind of, you know what I'm saying? They'll be the only ones that, or they'll be, hello, how's it going? Are you going to lunch, love? Okay, I'll see you later. They'll be like that. It was certain types of brothers that were up in there. These motherfuckers see me? It was certain type of brothers that was up in there that I was observing, how did he move, how his swag is. I wonder how he got in. I would be peeping this while I'm in the waiting room waiting to go in and get rejected. So they'll see how big I am. I remember I went to one interview and the white Jewish man, he told me to leave the door open. He had one dude came out of his office. He had the door closed, white dude. And I went in, he told me to keep the door. Like what you think? I'm gonna rob you in your office? You got security all downstairs, police. I'm gonna rob you. What do you think I'm gonna do? It's broad daylight in your office that you gotta keep the door open. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, Charles, keep the door open. I never forget that. It was for the people who made, who produced that movie. And this was around the time when this production company, had won all kind of awards, and the crazy part about it was about race. It was got the name of the movie. It was Terrence Howard, Ludacris was in it, Don Cheadle. I think it was called Traffic, something like that. I forgot the name of it, but and it dealt with LA racism too. And this motherfucker, who was the producer of it, was being racist right in my face, telling me keep the damn door open, like I'm gonna do something to his ass. But yeah, but that stuff, if you don't fit a certain criteria as far as your demeanor, you're not going to be able to get into these positions like to make that big money. So you got to get out here, get it how you live out here, and it's going to be very hard. That's all I'm saying. Let's talk about it in the comments. Y'all hit the thumbs up button.